Good day. Today I'm going to go over how to do a review assignment. I'm just going to do it this one time for Excel Module 1, just so that you know exactly what's to be expected of you, what needs to be done, and so that you'll see how it opens up the in-class project and the in-class assignment. So we're in our course content and we are in the Excel Tutorial 1 and MIS 4 Chapter 1. We're going to go down and click on the Dropbox item for the EX1 Review Assignment. And you'll see here in red it tells you exactly what's going to happen, but there's a file here to download. For EX1, there's no additional files, there's no starting file or anything like that. If the review assignments require additional files, they will be listed here as well. So let's click on the review assignment. It comes up as a PDF, and you'll see that this looks exactly as it is in your book. So if you want to just read it from your book, you can. If not, you can use the PDF. So I'm going to actually move this off screen so that I can read the directions, but you'll still be able to see what I'm doing in Excel. So the first thing it says is to create a new blank workbook and save the workbook as book list. So I'm going to open up my Excel and I'm going to open a blank workbook. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save it to my computer, and I'll save it to my files. And they want it named book list. Okay, now you do not have to put the .xlsx in there. It will do it for you. So just type the word name. Now, for the review assignments is not nearly as critical, but for the assignments that you turn into SAM, it is very, very, very critical that you spell things right. If there's a space, you put a space. If there's not a space, you don't put a space. If you don't do those things, it will be graded incorrectly. And I'll reiterate that when we actually do the in-class project. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to make this nice and big. And so we've got our blank workbook, and we have named it book list. So step 2, rename the sheet 1 worksheet as documentation. So here, down here in the bottom, it says sheet 1. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to say rename. And I'm going to name it as documentation. And just hit enter when you're done typing. Okay. Then it says to enter the data shown in figure 142 in the specified cells. So in cell A1, we enter in sparrow and pond. And then in A3, we type in author. In A4, we type in date. A5, purpose. Then B3, your name, so I'm going to put my name. The date, which is the current date, which is 1/24/2015. And then in B5, I'm going to put 2, record book, acquisitions by sparrow and pond. Okay, so that takes care of step 2. Step 3, set the font size of the title cell in A1 to 26 points. So I'm going to go to A1, change the font size to 26. Step 4, add a new worksheet after the documentation sheet and then rename the sheet as books. So right click, or sorry, not right click, you're going to hit the plus right here. That's going to put in a new sheet. Now right click and rename it to books. Okay. In cell A1, enter the text book acquisitions. Okay, and set the font size to 26. Okay, then cell A2, enter the date as the label. So in A2, I'm going to put in date in all caps as the label, and then in B2, I'm going to enter in 4/3/2016. Okay, step 7. In the range A4 through G9, enter the data shown in figure 1.43. So I'll do the first one, but I'm not going to do all of them. A4 is going to be your title row. So they want you to put in ISBN status, binding, title, etc. So starting in A4, I'm going to put ISBN and then B4 status. And sorry, they wanted it in all caps. Binding, title, author, condition, and price. And then I'll go ahead and put in this first one. I might put in a second one. Okay, there are 3 more lines to put in. You'll need to do that for the assignment itself, but I'm going to skip it. Okay, so we're going to insert cells into this range of A4 to A9. So we're going to select A4 through A9. I'm going to right click and say insert, and you're going to say shift cells to the right. So say OK, and you'll see it shifts it all to the right. Then enter the label book ID in cell A4. If I could spell, who is. Okay, book ID. And then type 02103-new in cell A5. So 02103-new in A5 and 09076-used in A6. So then it says use flash fill to fill in the remaining book IDs. Okay, so that means I'm going to have to put in all of these in here. So I'm going to pause this for a second. So when it comes back, all of this stuff is going to be entered in. You can pause the video as well to enter it in yourself. Okay, I'm back. Now you'll notice I put in all the lines, but I did take these 2 out. I took these 2 out because in order to do flash fill, they have to start out blank. So I took them out, so let me put them back in again. So I'm going to put in 02103-new and I'm going to put in 09, whoops, 09 076 dash used, and I'm going to have to do that again because I messed it up the first time. So once again, 02103 dash new, then 09076 dash used. And that's why that's messed up too. Okay, let me go back to this. I typed this in wrong. I put 03076 and that should be 09076. And that makes a big difference. So 09, I'm going to have to start this over again. And that's the problem with flash fill. It's very, very handy, but it is temperamental. So 02103 dash new, and then 09076 dash used, and it should continue to fill that in, but it hasn't. So let's do the next one, which would be 703. Okay, if flash fill doesn't work for you, then just go ahead and type them in. And what it's doing is it's taking, which is my other typo, that should be a 3 there. See, typos make a big difference. So let's do this one more time. And then if it doesn't work, then we'll just type them in. 02103 dash new, and then 09. There we go. So if you see here where it's kind of grayed out, that's saying, hey, I'm seeing a pattern, and do you want me to fill these in for you? And yes, we do. That's what flash fill is. It's saying, hey, I see a pattern. Let me do it for you, so that makes it nice and easy. So just at this point, you hit enter, and it fills the other rows in for you. Let me fix this. Okay. So that was a very long step 9 and 10. Okay. Set the width of columns A through D to 15 characters each. So I'm going to take A through D. I'm going to right click, column width, and I'm going to say 15. Say OK. Then step 12, set the book titles in the range E4 to E9 to wrap to a new line. So in the titles, we want to wrap, and that's simply right here. It says wrap text. And wow. Okay. And then auto fit the heights of rows 4 through 9. Oh. Okay, so step 11, which I didn't completely read, and this is where it comes into following directions. It says set the width of column A through D to 15 characters. Then it says set the width of column E to 30 characters. So column width again, 30. And then it says F to 20. And G to 15. Okay, so that's better. Now we're going to wrap the text on this. So wrap the text, and then it says auto fit the heights of rows 4 through 9. So I'm going to select 4 through 9, and then if you just double click on in between the rows, it will auto fit for you. And it already had done it, so that's why you're not seeing any change. But if I were to make this bigger and then select it and do an auto fit, you'll see it makes that smaller. Okay, so that was step 13. Step 14, move the book list in the range A4 through H9 to the range A8 through H13. H13. So I'm going to take A4 through H9. So that's this whole box. And they want me to move it. And they want me to move it to A8. So I'm going to click on the green line that's around it, and I'm just going to drag it down right there. And you'll see now it's A8 through H13. Okay, in cell G15, enter the text total. So in G15, right here, I'm going to put in total. And then in cell H15, enter a function to add the prices in the range of H9 through H13. So equal sum, and then I'm going to select those cells. Okay, and then in cell A4, enter the text total books. And then in B4, enter a function to count the number of numeric values in the range of H9 through H13. So I'm going to say count, and then select my cells. And you'll see there's 5. Okay, and then in cell A6, we're going to type in average price. And we're going to enter a formula to calculate the total price paid for the books divided by the number of books purchased. So we're going to do the average. So we're going to say average. And now, so you can do it this way by the average function, which is easy enough to do, which is the easier way to do it. But the way that it really wants you to do it, because it's just trying to give you some mathematical examples, is to take the cell in oh, and I skipped a step, which would be why this is not working right. So here it was supposed to be total price, and then you sum it. Well, it just wants you to display the value from cell H15. So I select the equal sign and then select this cell because we've already done the total. And then the average price, they want you to do this cell divided by this cell, and that will give you the average price. And if you paid attention, you'll see that that number is the same as when I said average. Okay, just a couple more steps. So step 19, add borders around each cell in the non-adjacent range of A4 to B6. So A4 to B6, and we want to borders around each cell. So I go up to the borders, and I'm going to say all borders. And then from A8 to H13, A8 to H13, and then G15 to H15. Okay, so we've got our borders. So for the books worksheet, which is the one we've been working on, we're going to change the page orientation to landscape. So page layout, orientation, landscape. And we're going to scale the worksheet to print on a single page for both the width and the height. That way, if you're instructed, if you print the worksheet, then you know to do it, or it goes that way. So scale, you're going to say scale to fit, and you're going to say fit to one page by one page wide by one page tall, and say OK. And then finally, display the formulas in the book worksheet and set the grid lines, row and column headings to print. If you're instructed to print, then print the entire worksheet. So we're going to show formulas. So if we go to formulas, and right here is show formulas, and you'll see now you can actually see what the formulas are, what formulas we used. And then set the grid lines and row column headings to print. So we're going to go back to the page layout, and the grid lines we're going to say print, and the headings we're going to say print. And that's it. And then you're going to save it and go ahead and leave it this way so the formulas are shown. And then I'm going to exit out of Excel, and then I'm going to upload my file. So let me find it. There's my XLSX file, and it uploads it, and then I say submit. And this is the important part. You have to do this part, the upload and the submit. So I submit it to Dropbox, and then if I go back to my main thing, my main Excel tutorial, you're now going to see the in-class quiz and the in-class project has opened up. Those will not open up if you do not submit to this review assignment. Now, another word on the review assignment. I went through every step, and I made sure every step was right and that we did every step. For the review assignment, that's not necessary. If you get stuck, if you don't know how to do something, don't spend hours and hours on the review assignment. Make a note of what you didn't understand so that when we do the in-class project, you can be tuned into when I say, we're doing this part, and then you can say, oh, that's how I was supposed to do that. Remember, the review assignment is not a grade. It is only a practice for you. It's an introduction to you and actually doing the things that are discussed in the module itself, and it's to prepare you for the in-class quiz and the in-class project. And that's about it for this. And I will do another recording for the in-class project in a little bit. Thank you.